Greater Media Broadcast News.
Welcome to another edition of Greater Media Broadcast News. I'm Susie Shia, bringing you the top headlines in Central New Jersey. Here are some of the stories we're covering this week. Eric LeGrand reaches a milestone, the legacy of James Phillips, a new Monmouth County park, teachers who make magic, and help for domestic abuse victims. A few years after suffering a devastating spinal cord injury, former Rutgers University football player Eric LeGrand continues to inspire the nation. Thousands were touched by his determination to recover from the field injury that left him paralyzed. And now the 23-year-old has done it once again. LeGrand is set to partake in this May's commencement ceremony at Rutgers as he graduates with a major in labor studies. He tells Greater Media newspapers that just as his determination to walk again has inspired thousands, he hopes his academic achievements will motivate many more. For more on Eric LeGrand's journey and his future plans, see this week's editions of Greater Media newspapers. And here's Mark Rosman with more headlines from this week's papers.
A Marlboro High School freshman did not wait long to get involved in school activities this year. Emily Gamza, who entered high school in September, founded a club she called Marlboro Stangs for Multiple Sclerosis. The young woman has a personal connection to MS because her dad has a form of the disease. Emily rallied support from teachers and students, and the new club recently held its first fundraiser, a penny collection that added up to big money. When all of the donated pennies were counted, more than $4,500 had been raised to support the National Multiple Sclerosis Society. The initiative shown by Emily in creating a new club at MHS is proof that one person really can make a difference. You can read the entire article in this week's news transcript.
You might have seen children build houses and cars out of Legos, but what about robots? Here's Jack Murtha.
Move over, mathletes, chess club members, and preteen political junkies. In just its second year, the Robotics Club at the St. Matthew's School in Edison is making waves throughout the state. The club allows students to design, build, and program robots to complete a series of tasks in a world made of Legos. One division of the club, Team Shamrocks, recently earned the right to compete against 60 similar groups next month in a statewide contest held by the First Lego League. The team's 7 members will use hours of research and their robot, Scorpio, to overcome challenges posed by avalanches. The after-school activity is fun for the children, but during the process, they also learn the basics of STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, which could place them on a track to an exciting and well-paying career. For more information, check out this week's edition of the Edison Metuchen Sentinel.
A survey that aims to draw a clearer picture of homelessness in Central New Jersey has been conducted. Here's Jennifer Amato.
Officials and volunteers in Monmouth and Middlesex counties assisted with the point-in-time survey last week in an effort to count the number of homeless people across the region. The purpose of Project Homeless Connect is to identify ways in which social service and nonprofit agencies can help each individual. Sites in Freehold, Asbury Park, Red Bank, and Woodbridge provided food, clothing, flu shots, supplies, and information for those who completed the surveys on January 29th. For more details on the homeless count, see your local Greater Media newspaper.
And here's a roundup of headlines from this week's papers. Monmouth County may be getting a new park. As a result of a 10-year effort to preserve the land, nearly 200 acres of woodlands in Aberdeen have been purchased for $10 million. 5 teachers from Metuchen, Edison, and North Brunswick schools were honored for making magic. They were named Teachers Who Make Magic by Greater Media's Magic 98.3 FM. The annual program honors 24 teachers for their contributions to their schools. The Help Out of the Shore is expected to set up operations in the former Weston Elementary School in Long Branch. The organization's bid of $3 million was accepted last week by the Board of Education. And this week, Greater Media Newspapers takes a look at domestic abuse, its effect on families, and where one can get help. In New Jersey, organizations such as 180 Turning Lives Around and Shelter Our Sisters aim to assist victims who not only need to leave an abusive situation, but also rebuild their lives after taking that step. For all these stories, see your Greater Media newspaper today. And now we have Mike Pavlichko of Greater Media's WCTC with an update on Rutgers football. After that, we have Tim Morris with more on local sports.
3 new coaches for the Rutgers football team, but will it help them be competitive in the Big Ten this upcoming season? That's just one of the big questions that surrounds these hires, one of which, new offensive coordinator Ralph Friedgen. He used to be the head coach at Maryland, a very, very good hire. The promotion of Joe Rossi as well to defensive coordinator. He was the special teams coach and a new special teams coordinator, and he'll coach linebackers Bob Frazier. Now, the biggest of these hires clearly is Friedgen. He had great success at the University of Maryland in the early 2000s. He's so important, he'll be the highest paid assistant in school history. The problem is, it took so long to make and announce these hires. So long, Rutgers lost yet another recruit, Saeed Blacknall, excellent wide receiver from Manalapan High School. He was the one who stuck by Kyle Flood through all of the tumult of this regular season, and what was a rough one for the Scarlet Knights. Others were decommitting. He stuck by Rutgers. Now he goes, and to make matters worse, not only does he leave, but he goes to a Big Ten rival in Penn State, where new coach James Franklin, who comes from Vanderbilt, has promised to recruit hard in New Jersey, and so far he has put his money where his mouth is. And the best talent continues to leave New Jersey. Now, we all know recruiting is an inexact science. I'll talk about that more at some point. But here's the point. The prestigious Parade All-Americans were recently released, and 3 of them from New Jersey. You know where they're going? They're going to Notre Dame, they're going to Michigan, and they're going to Nebraska, a team Rutgers lost to in the Pinstripe Bowl in Notre Dame, and 2 Big Ten teams that Rutgers will be playing. So, for Rutgers, certainly a tough go on the recruiting trail this year. Now, I'd love to get these kids, and Rutgers needs to get these kids, but they didn't this year. Who will they get? I'll be back to talk about that next week as I recap National Signing Day 2013, when all those verbal commitments become signatures on the dotted line. I'm Mike Pavlichko on 1450 WCTC and WCTCAM.com.
Have you ever wondered what an ice hockey game looks like from a goalie's vantage point? Well, we hooked up with Howell High School goaltender Bobby Dovenero, one of the best young keepers in the Shore, to get an idea. He wore a video camera on his chest during a recent Rebel practice at Howell Ice World. You can get a real feel for the speed of the game as skaters swirl around Dovenero in all directions. You can see the utter chaos in front of him as players look to position themselves to make plays, which, at the same time, blocks his view of the play. Shots can come at any time, anywhere, at any angle, which requires a goalie to focus at all times and to have quick reflexes. There is never a moment to relax if you are the last line of defense. This is Tim Morris for Greater Media Newspapers.
And now let's join Tom Castles as he discusses the legacy of a former Middlesex County and Township official who died this week.
James T. Phillips' death on February 1st sent a wave of sorrow through his hometown that was measurable in the reverence of his friends and family. The 60-year-old Phillips was a lifelong resident of Old Bridge and served that township in a number of ways. He was a firefighter, fire commissioner, and member of the Municipal Utilities Authority, Township Planning Board, the Human Resource Council. He was also elected as a councilman and spent 2 terms as mayor from 2004 to 2011. He even worked a stint as state senator and spent several years as county treasurer. Even with that reputable public resume, those that knew Phillips best will always remember him first and foremost as a devoted family man and a trustworthy friend, always concerned with the well-being of those around him. His accomplishments support their sentiment. As mayor, he spearheaded the creation of Peter A. Menino Park, John A. Phillips Open Space Preserve, a preserve named after his father, who also served as mayor and freeholder, and Old Bridge Waterfront Park in Lawrence Harbor, the section of town where he grew up. Services for John T. Phillips will be held at Day Funeral Home in Keyport from 2 to 4 p.m. and 7 to 9 p.m. on Thursday, February 6th.
Are you tired of the snow already? Well, don't fret because spring is just around the corner. At least that's what Milltown Mel says. Here's Kathy Chang.
Spring will come early according to Milltown Mel on February 2nd. In the past 5 years since the groundhog has predicted the weather, he has never been wrong. He has predicted 5-0 that spring will come early. This year, it may be hard to believe since after a mild weather day for the Super Bowl, winter came roaring back the next day, dumping significant inches of snow on the tri-state area. 2 more storms are on the way. However, Milltown Mel holds steadfast to his prediction every year on February 2nd, which is presented in the parking lot of the American Legion. The annual event draws crowds young and old to see the furry little creature. Some 200-plus people strong came out on an early cold morning this year to witness the prediction. This year, Milltown Mel was on his own in regards to his prediction of an early spring. Punxsutawney Phil and Staten Island Chuck both predicted 6 more weeks of winter.
For more in-depth coverage and additional stories, see this week's editions of Greater Media newspapers. You can join the conversation at facebook.com/Greater Media Broadcast News. I'm Susie Shia. Thanks for tuning in.